Hi everyone, I hope your first couple weeks of class have gone well. I've enjoyed reading your posts. Thank you for engaging actively in the class. This video is going to walk you through searching in the library databases to find sources for your research project. If you have not already done so at this point, please stop the video and go to the assignments page and read the assignment sheet under research proposal, which is the first component of your research project. Now, that assignment sheet actually gives you the details on the entire research project, from the proposal to the annotated bibliography to the final paper. I would go ahead and read all the parts, even though you're only working on one step at a time, because you want to have a sense of the trajectory of your research before you commit to a topic, before you read all your sources, these sorts of things. So go ahead and get a sense of where you're headed before you commit to a topic. As you can see here, I'm on the uncfsu.edu homepage, the Fayetteville State homepage. In this left-hand navigation area, I see library. I'm going to click on that. Now, when I get here, if I want to search the physical holdings in the library, I'm typically going to go to books, okay? And if you are interested in what's available electronically, you might even go to ebooks, ones you can read from home. For the purposes of our project, I'm not imagining that you're going to be reading book-length materials to do your research for this project, though you are certainly welcome to, but this is an 8-week course. I just don't really see you doing all of that. So what I would suggest is that you start by clicking on Articles and Databases. Now, right here you'll see the Charles W. Chestnut Library Database Finder. This is what you want to click. If you know the name of the database you're looking for, one I use all the time is the MLA International Bibliography, which is specific to my field, literature. Well, it's broader than that, but specific to my field, so I know I want to go to that, so I often navigate here. However, for your purposes, you're probably looking for a more general kind of database. Now, you can also look by subject. So if you knew you wanted to look primarily at medical kinds of things, you could scoot down through here, medicine, right? If you were, in a philosophy course, you might go here. But for our purposes, you might want to start with a broader kind of database. And so I would recommend under popular databases here that you go to Academic Search Complete. It's going to prompt you to log in, so you'll use your university credentials to log in. Okay, when you get to this page, you are in the right place. Before I search any terms, I want to first make sure that I've set my search options the way that I want them. Boolean phrase is going to be the most, it's kind of the smart search, right? It's going to try to give you what it thinks you means. Excuse me. It's going to try to use combinations of your phrase, right? That's where I would leave it. Under limit your results, if you click full text, you are going to limit your results to items available immediately to you online. For the purposes of this assignment, I would recommend that you check that. Because I'm not expecting your research to be comprehensive or exhaustive in any way. However, if you get into an upper level course, let's say you are a philosophy major and you're working on your senior capstone project, you may want to leave that off because you want to know all the kinds of sources that are available on your topic, even if you have to request them through interlibrary loan, even if they're not immediately available to you if we don't have a subscription to that database or journal. Okay, but for our purposes, I'm fine with you just working with what you have available. Scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Now, among your readings that you'll be doing in the textbook over the next couple of weeks, you will read about evaluating sources and you'll get some sense of the difference between scholarly or popular materials. Scholarly peer-reviewed materials, that refers to publications that have been vetted by experts in the field, as in a professor in history does not get his paper published in a scholarly journal until his colleagues have reviewed it. You know, it's blind peer review. They say, yes, this is a valuable contribution to the field. It's factually correct, these sorts of things, okay? As you know from reading the assignment sheet, you're required to have 3 scholarly sources for this assignment. So, if you don't check this, you are going to get a mix of materials. Now, searching in the databases, you're probably going to find more reputable material, all around more reliable information than you would if you just went to Google. But if you don't click this, you're not going to limit it to scholarly. So what I would do, if it were me, is I would start with this clicked and go ahead and find my 3 scholarly articles, and then I would go back and search again with it unchecked and look for some popular materials. You are allowed to do entirely scholarly materials, but you are only required to have 3. So you could do a mix of scholarly articles. You could even go to Google and find, you know, newspaper articles that may or may not show up here depending on your search terms. You can do a mix of these kinds of materials. Just make sure that your popular sources, even if they're, you know, even though they're popular, that they're reputable, right? It's not from Joe Schmo's blog. It's not from your, you know, eccentric uncle's Facebook page. It is a reputable source, you know, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, these sorts of things, okay? All right, so when we go up here to search, I am going to search child labor laws. Now, that's not among your broad topics, but it's just the first thing that popped into my head, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes with a topic you might actually be doing. So you notice it suggested child labor laws in the United States, and I might say, hey, that's a great limitation for me, because I'm in this paper, I'm not going to be able to talk about the entire world. Okay, so I see that I get search results of 14. That's actually a very manageable number. Theoretically, I could read all of these, or conceivably, I could read all of these. So I might decide I want to broaden it out a little bit, right? These are all only scholarly. If I click on this first one, I see that this is from the Journal of American History. Okay, I have some subject terms here so I can get a sense of what's going to be talked about in this article. I have the abstract. This will tell me whether or not I should spend my time reading the article, whether or not it relates enough to what I'm doing to read it. Folks, reading the abstract is not the same thing as reading the article. Abstracts are great for helping you decide if you should invest the time to read the article, but it is not the same thing. Now, for reading the article, you have some options. You can click on the PDF full text here, open that. You could even save it to your computer so that you have it for later. You could also print it. You could email it to yourself. What I like to do is, as I'm researching, I like to add it to my folder, and then when I'm finished, I can go to my folder and I can email all my materials to myself. And let me show you a really cool function here. So you'll put in your email information, any comments that you have. Click PDF as a separate attachment when available so that it will send you the materials. And then I like to click citation format. And you can look, you see APAs right here. And it will actually send you your sources with the citations listed, which is going to save you a lot of time. We're going to talk about the accuracy of those citations in just a second, but this is how I like to organize my materials. But it's also perfectly fine for you to save them individually, right, to print them, however you want to do it. So let me talk for just a second about citation. Now, we have this awesome automatic cite button, and this would go for the ones generated in the email I just sent you as well. Or not the email I sent you, but the email I just showed you how to do. If you click the cite button, you'll see if you scroll down to APA, which is what we're doing in this class, and that there are a number of other options. If you needed MLA for another class, it's there. Okay. What I can tell you is that these citations tend to be generally correct, but sometimes they have some formatting problems. Okay. So what you have to do is compare them against an example from a style guide and fix anything that the automatic generator got wrong. So in other words, I do not have any problem with you using this automatic cite function. There's no reason for you to type all this out when they're doing it for you. But as it says up here, make any necessary corrections before using. Pay special attention to personal names, capitalization, and dates. Always consult your library resources for the exact formatting and punctuation guidelines. So what I do, and I'm telling you what I do as a scholar, this is not even just what I'm telling you to do as your teacher, but this is what I actually do myself. When I have a generated citation here, I like to go to a Word document and paste it in there. And if you click this Keep Text Only option when you right-click to paste, it won't give you the wonky formatting from the little tiny font. So I like to do that. Okay, and the first thing I'm seeing is that I don't have my hanging indent. I'm missing some italics. We're going to go over that in just a second. But I have all the information that I need, which is awesome. Now, if I go to my Al Purdue APA guide, which is what I suggest you use, or your book, but obviously that's hard for me to show you on a screencast. If you go to reference list, what we are dealing with is an electronic source, and it's actually an article from a database. It's a little bit different from an online periodical because most of these articles we're dealing with from the library databases do exist in print, but we're accessing them electronically. Okay, so I see my sample here. Here's the generic one, right, that shows you the elements. I actually find the ones with sample information filled in a little bit more useful, but whichever you find more helpful is fine. So what I would do is I would come here and I would copy and paste my sample. Oops, let me do that with the formatting the same. Okay, so they've got fake example homepage, right? Sometimes your URL will inexplicably go down to the next line in Microsoft Word. I'm not really sure why it does that. I'm okay with it. Some professors might be picky. Just make sure that you, if they're picky, that you play around with the formatting, try to get it on the same line. I have yet to figure out how to do that. So if you figure it out, please do let me know. Okay, so the first thing I know from looking at my APA style guide is that this is missing a hanging indent. So in order to achieve a hanging indent, you want to highlight, right-click, go to paragraph. Under indentation, you want special, you want hanging by 0.5. For spacing, and this kind of goes for all of your writing, make sure you have this at 0 and click Don't Add Space Between Paragraphs of the Same Style. This will keep Microsoft Word from adding an extra space when you double space from where you've already hit enter between lines, and then you want those double spaced. Okay, so already it's starting to look a little more like a references page. So what I would do is I would come up here and center and put references. Okay, now looking at these two, one thing I see is that APA only capitalizes the first letter of article titles, and excuse me, this automatic generator has capitalized every word, every major word in there, which is more like MLA style. So what you can do is you can highlight that, come up here to your home. With your capitalization function here, I would just put it all in lowercase and then go in and capitalize that first word, and then here as well because this is a new sentence. Okay, and then if you had any proper nouns, people's names, places, that sort of thing, you would want to do that. Now, journals, it looks like they go with, they capitalize all major words. Of is not a major word, so I'm going to make that lowercase. Okay, everything else appears to be the same. Now, they've given us, we don't have a URL. We do have a DOI, which is a sort of the database equivalent of an ISBN number, like how you would search for a book on Amazon to buy it, that kind of thing. There is a note here on DOIs. If there is a DOI, they say go ahead and use it, and you don't put retrieved from. If you're using a URL, like it came from a specific website, you want to put retrieved from. You do not want to use, like I would not want to come over here, excuse me, and I would not want to give, say, this URL from up here, or even the URL from when I click on, excuse me, the article itself, because this is not a stable URL, meaning if someone were to click on that, if I were to copy and paste that into my references page, if someone were to click on it or type it in, they're going to be prompted to log into the FSU website. They're just not going to be able to access it. Okay. So we either want to go with DOI, which is often listed here, or a stable URL if you're. Now, I hope that's been helpful for you. If you have questions of any kind, please do let me know. I've tried to provide readings and resources that will show you how to do these sorts of things, but you're getting it from a website. Like if you got an article from CNN.com, you would put, this retrieved from. Okay? Let's do this with, oh, and don't forget, when you have finished, and let's look at our example one more time here. That's right, our journal title should be in italics. Okay? And somehow when I copy and pasted this, it didn't do that, but looking at my guide, I see that it should be in italics. So I would want to do Control-I here, or hit the italicized button, and there we go. Make sure when you're finished that you take off your examples, because you didn't actually, that's not a source that you're actually using. I hope you have found this information helpful. I've tried to include readings and links and these videos that will give you what is actually a lot of information in manageable chunks. If you have any questions, please do let me know. That's what I'm here for. Over the coming weeks, especially as you get into the annotated bibliography, I will get into more of the nitty-gritty of how to know what kind of source you're dealing with in terms of looking it up on APA. For the research proposal itself, you don't actually have to list any sources. I do want you to be specific about what database you use, mostly because I want to get a sense of, did you actually go to the databases and try to find some scholarly sources rather than just doing Google, because you don't want to commit to a topic until you're sure that you're going to have enough materials to meet the requirements, right? 7 to 10 sources, 3 of which must be scholarly. So be watching for tips and tricks over the next couple weeks about how to navigate APA, how to evaluate sources, and I'll look forward to reading your research proposals. Have a great day.